Hey everyone, Michael here, and today I'm putting together a presentation for my advanced exercise physiology class. We're going to be looking at what is better for your weight loss, running fast, as in high intensity interval training, or running slow with low intensity steady state training. You know, there's something similar about these two individuals that probably causes them to be lean. Yep, both wearing yellow. While in many parts of the world individuals die daily due to a lack of food, the modernized Western world struggles with eating far too much. According to the CDC, more than one-third of Americans are obese. Almost 90% are overfat, meaning they have a proportionally higher body fat percentage than they should. And while a potential solution could just be to manage your diet better, eating food is too much fun. So let's run off those extra calories instead of missing out on all the great foods life has to offer. 1 pound of fat is comprised of about 3,500 calories, meaning if we want to lose 1 pound of fat a week, we have to burn off an average of 500 calories every day of the week. Currently, there are two schools of thought on what may be the better way to run off those calories. You can either perform high-intensity interval training, such as sprinting, running stairs, or other short bursts of high-intensity intervals, or you can perform low-intensity steady-state training, where we maintain a steady pace over a long duration of time, such as running a 5 or 10K. First, let's talk about high-intensity interval training, or HIIT, and some of the benefits it has outside of fat loss. Researcher DeFeo said it best: in our demanding society, the most attractive messages in the popular press are those promising the best results in a short time. Researcher by Gabala and McGee finds that HIIT is an extremely efficient method of improving entire body composition and function. To look at results, they used a Wingate test, which scientists concluded as being absolute hell. 30 seconds of max effort on a bike is no fun for anyone, but it certainly fits our definition of HIIT. So what did this do for the body? The first is that it almost doubled the work capacity of individuals in the study. For thinking about fat loss, being able to work twice as long would certainly help you get there. Even better, this was accomplished after only 3 sessions for 2 weeks. So it will not take you very long to be an elite Wingater. They also found a direct increase in muscle oxidative capacity, or how much energy your muscles can be used to work hard, as well as better use of all 3 macronutrients. What about the benefits of low-intensity steady-state training, or LISS? A study by Foster et al. Found similar improvements when training with LISS to those training with HIIT. However, what is interesting is that the LISS group enjoyed training far much more than those training with the Tabata protocol, or 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. The validity of this study is questionable though, as it goes against everything I've read in the fitness magazines and on the internet, because as we all know, steady-state cardio is the gain-stealing devil. The often quoted problem with steady-state training, however, is how long it takes. 8 rounds of Tabata is only 5.5 minutes, while any standard LISS protocol is going to be at least 20 minutes. But while all of this is great and being healthy could be seen as a good thing, all that matters is we aren't fat, right? So how does HIIT compare with LISS, and which helps more with the process of reducing jiggle? To figure that out, we have to not only look at the calories burned from each activity, but where they're coming from. Remember, our goal is to burn fat, which is perhaps unsurprisingly made of fat. Exercise training intensity is the prime determinant of fuel sources used. At rest, low intensities, fat is the primary source of energy in your body. Due to how much of it you have, since you've been bulking since elementary school graduation, it's easy for your body to use and give a lot of energy for a very little bit. Carbohydrates, or sugars, on the other hand, are not as plentiful, and your body only has about 2,000 calories available compared to the hundreds of thousands of fat calories available. These carbohydrate calories, stored as glucose and glycogen in the body, are used when we need lots of energy very quickly, such as during high-intensity interval training. So when we compare our two methods, we would expect low-intensity training to burn a lot more fat, right? One study comparing high-intensity and low-intensity interval training for obese individuals showed exactly this result. Alcatini, King, Hills, and Byrne found that individuals performing steady-state training lost an average of 1.2% body fat, while the high-intensity group actually gained on average 0.3% body fat over the course of the 4 weeks. However, in all other areas such as VO2 max or work capacity, the HIIT group improved by an average of 10% or more over the steady-state group. However, another study by Boucher in 2010 found exactly the opposite. When comparing one group performing short bursts of 3 to 4 minutes of exercise and another performing steady-state for 40 minutes, the high-intensity group burned far more subcutaneous fat than their steady-state counterpart using a Wingate protocol. However, the study also found that HIIT was far more demanding in participants and may be a struggle for individuals who are severely obese or out of shape. Low-intensity training might be a better method for beginning weight loss for those individuals. More research by DeFeo, who I mentioned earlier, also asked the question of, is high-intensity or low-intensity training better for fat loss? The study first points out, as previously stated, that at rest, 60% or more of your energy needs are coming from fat, while once you start training at a moderate intensity or greater, carbohydrates provide the majority of that energy. DeFeo found no significant results that pointed towards greater fat loss when using HIIT, and actually noted that it might result in the trainee struggling during or even giving up on their training due to the difficult nature of high-intensity interval training. However, it was noted that high-intensity interval training burns far more calories in general when compared to similar duration, moderately intense exercise. DeFeo suggests that new individuals begin with steady-state training to improve their cardiovascular fitness, work capacity, and confidence. and then after a few months, they can supplement their training with high-intensity work. So now that we've seen what the research says about these two methods of training on fat loss, what results can we see? Well, first is that there are quite a few conflicting viewpoints on the efficiency of high-intensity training on fat loss. One study found it increases fat mass, one study found it decreases fat mass, and one found it has almost no difference compared to steady-state training. Due to individual differences of participants and wide variety of training methods that can constitute high-intensity interval training, we can expect there to be some variety in training response. We can also see that regardless of the calories burned by high-intensity training, steady-state training always seems to perform well as a baseline for fat loss, and all the data points towards you burning more fat when operating at lower intensity. But if we look at calories burned overall, HIIT will burn more calories over the same duration when compared to low-intensity steady-state, meaning for the time crunch individual, HIIT might be more effective. However, most studies mention how HIIT is much harder for the individual, being stressful both physically and psychologically, and that it may not be appropriate for someone just beginning a training routine. For those individuals, I would recommend starting with lower intensity exercise and slowly building up to a higher intensity. Of course, the best training program is probably the one you stick to. Consistency will always produce better results than whatever fad program is currently trending that you won't stick to. But if you still can't decide, let us break down the positives and negatives of each training method one more time. The positives of low-intensity steady-state training are that your body will primarily burn fat for the duration of your training. Working at a lower intensity is appropriate for all levels of trainee, and is probably the easiest method to start with. And overall enjoyability tends to be higher due to less stress on the body and mind. Low-intensity steady-state negatives are that it can take a long time, you may not see results in a short period like with HIIT, monotony can be an issue for many, and you might accidentally run a marathon. Low-intensity steady-state positives include your body will primarily burn fat for the duration of your training. Working at a lower intensity is appropriate for all levels of training, and is probably the easiest method to start with, and overall enjoyability tends to be higher due to less stress on the body and mind. The negatives, however, are that it can take a long time, and you will not see results in a short period of time like with HIIT. Monotony can be an issue for many, and you might accidentally run a marathon. HIIT positives are that shorter duration means you can get an effective workout in even when you're time crunched, you will burn more calories compared to similar duration low-intensity steady-state activity, and you can increase your effective work capacity much quicker than doing steady-state training. The HIIT negatives, however, are that high-stress activities might not be appropriate for everyone. Less of the calories you burn will actually come from fat, and the greater amounts of fatigue may mean individuals less likely to stick with it. Hopefully after this video you can pick which weight loss method is appropriate for you, and we all know it's not eating less. Good luck when you're losing, and remember the most important step we learned, always wear the color yellow. Thank you, and see you next time.